When you go shopping, do you struggle to know whether you should buy it or not? Do you automatically buy it and then have to deal with returning it because you didn't really think through whether or not it was the right purchase? I've got you. Let's chat about that today. Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Cain Style. Welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. I am a style and mindset coach. What does that mean, you ask? It means that I can help you create a wardrobe you love wearing. And I do that by paying attention to all the traditional stylist stuff and also to helping you look at what you're thinking and what you're feeling around getting dressed that could be getting in the way. Because I realized after 20 years in closets and fitting rooms in both retail and in my own business that when I didn't get to the root of what was really tripping women up, I wasn't solving their problem. I wasn't helping them really create a wardrobe that they loved wearing because we were doing the work on the surface, but we weren't getting deep enough to really understand what kept happening once I left and the closet was cleaned up and the outfits had been created and they had photos of those outfits and everything should have on the surface been just dreamy and so easy for them to love how they looked and felt in their clothing, and yet they weren't. And so once I realized that, it's the mindset, it's what we think and feel that actually creates the result in our life, in any area of our life, and in our wardrobe. Once I realized that, I knew I was onto something. And I knew that if I looked at the idea of our thoughts create our results, and I helped clients understand that the thoughts that they're thinking are creating the results that they have in their style. That doesn't mean they might not need new pieces. That doesn't mean that their wardrobe might not need a good edit or that they couldn't use some help in really understanding fundamentally what pieces look the best on them and how to put those pieces together in the simplest, most attractive way. And the mindset really, truly dictates how all the rest of that works. So I'm a style and mindset coach, and I work one-on-one with clients in a program called Style Therapy. It is linked down below. I offer a free consult call. If you are feeling like, I've been trying to figure this out myself for so long, and I've watched all the videos, and I've read all the magazines and the articles, and I've followed the influencers, and I've shopped in the stores, and I really still feel like I can't figure this out on my own, reach out. I'm ready. I am ready to help you. It's the thing that I love most in the whole world to do, is to help a client really get to a place where her wardrobe lights her up. It is not as difficult as you might be thinking. If you have been trying things that aren't working, then of course it feels like an impossible task. I come in and help you see what does work, and we do that work, and we build your style self-trust, and you can get dressed and get on with your life. So if you're interested, the link's down below. Reach out and we can chat. Today, I'm going to talk about shopping and how to know when you should be buying something and when you should be walking away. This is something that I am asked often, and certainly there are lots of other videos out there on, how to decide what to buy and lots of checklists of questions you can ask yourself. And so today I'm just going to run through basically what comes up for me when I help a client decide whether or not she should buy something. I don't ever make that decision. I allow her to make that decision, and I teach her kind of the steps to take herself through so that that decision becomes relatively easy. So I'm going to run through those things today of kind of questions you can ask yourself when you're struggling to know, should I buy this or should I not? Questions to ask yourself, even if you don't think you're struggling and you're ready to buy something, maybe you don't actually need to be buying that thing, and it isn't actually going to support the life that you live and help your closet and your wardrobe in any way. And so these questions can be asked even when you're on your way to the checkout and you're ready, you think you need this, whatever. It's a good idea if you can pause for a second and really explore the answers to these questions and decide, does this actually serve me at the moment the best way? Okay, so question number one, seems pretty obvious. Do you need it? So this is not always a reason to not buy something. If you don't need it, it's not always a definite no. But if you start with, do I need it? It helps you to look at, do I have something similar in my wardrobe? Do I have something that I would already wear in the same way to the same places that I would wear this new thing that I'm considering buying? Because if you do, then you need to poke a little further and think, okay, well, what would make me wear this one? Is it a basic that I actually need a few of? Or is it that now I'm going to have a duplicate, but honestly, the duplicates usually don't get worn that often. We usually, if we buy, lots of cream sweaters, we usually have a few that are our favorites. And that doesn't mean we don't wear all of them, but we could maybe not have purchased all of them if we had asked ourselves, do I need it? Do I have a hole, something missing? Is there a missing space? Is there a void? That's the word I'm looking for. Is there a void in my wardrobe where this piece would actually fill that need? Do I need this piece? Start with that question, number one. Question number two is, will you actually wear it? I know that this is one of those questions that usually stops me in my tracks, because I can love something, I can love the way it looks on me, I can appreciate the quality, it can be within my budget, and yet when I think to myself honestly, will I actually wear it? Oftentimes the answer is no, because it doesn't necessarily fit a need in my wardrobe either. And question number three, does it fit well? And this again is not a deal breaker. It's just a matter of pausing long enough to really get clear before you get home and then try it on again and realize it doesn't fit well and now you have to return it, or maybe you can't return it and you're stuck with it. Does it fit well? Does it fit well enough that you can wear it as is? Does it need some sort of alteration? How do you feel about alterations? Are you actually going to make that happen, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're taking it to a tailor? Does it fit? Does it fit well? Does it fit in a way that you really want it to? And some of this requires a little bit of knowledge of how clothing should fit. I have worked with a lot of clients who didn't really understand where a dart is what the purpose of a dart is on the side of a blouse, or a side of a top, or a side of a blazer, that the dart is supposed to line up with the bust line, and it is essentially making space for the curve of the bust. And so if the dart is way higher or way lower than the client's natural bust line, it doesn't necessarily look great. That said, the top that I have on right now has darts, and the darts are actually a little lower than they should be for my body by rights and by definition of how a blouse should fit. And yet I thrifted this blouse. I intentionally like that it's oversized. I intentionally purchased it because it's oversized and loose and easy. And I actually mentioned to my daughter the day that I bought it, what about the darts? Does that bug you? And she kind of looked at me like, Mom, the darts will never bother me. I will never notice that. It does not bother me at all. So it's a matter of deciding, does it fit well enough that you like it and you'll want to wear it? So I understand that the blouse I have on maybe doesn't by rights fit the way my size in this blouse would fit, and I'm okay with that. I made the choice knowing I like how this fits, even if it's not like textbook fit my body the way it maybe should. So does it fit? Does it fit well? And if it doesn't fit well, are you willing to do the work to make it fit well? Because when your clothing fits well and fits in the way that you want it to fit, then it's fun to wear. If you buy it and it doesn't quite fit right, it's a little too tight in the bust, or a little too tight in the shoulder, or a little too long, or a little too flowy, then when you go to wear it at home, it doesn't get better. It's similar to deciding you're going to marry somebody who is close, but you're hoping that once you get married, the relationship's going to get better. It rarely happens that way. It's the same with clothing. You get a piece home thinking, oh, well, it's going to be better once I pair it with whatever. But when you put it on, it's still too big or it's still too small. So does it fit well is number three. Number four, is it made from quality materials? And this is a matter of personal preference. Not everybody has the same feeling, has the same scale for quality, but is it up to your standards? And so, I would urge that you try to buy the best quality you can afford, the best quality you can find, because it's going to last longer. It's going to feel better and probably fit better, and the fabric is going to last longer. And, for some people, having it be the best quality also means that it is sustainable, it is maybe organic cotton, it is ethically produced. Whatever that quality criteria is for you, is it the best quality? Does it live up to your quality standards? And number five, what kind of care does it require? This is another one that trips clients up a lot, where they don't even look before they purchase something at the care tag, and then they get it home and it has to be dry cleaned. And so first I'll say, just as an aside, I dry clean very, very, very little in my wardrobe. I intentionally purchase things that don't need to be dry cleaned. And if I purchase something, particularly like rayon blouses or really delicate sweaters that say dry clean only, I wash them in a zippered mesh bag that I just get from Target or from Amazon. And they are literally just a fabric mesh bag that zips shut. I can put the garment inside. I usually put the garments inside out so that there's nothing that's going to rub against the garment, and then the bag protects them, and then they get laundered with towels or with other things, usually not with denim or with big bulky items that could, damage the bag or the garment inside. But how does it need to be cared for? If you're buying pieces that you want them to be effortless and easy and they always need to be dry cleaned, it's helpful to pay attention to that so that you don't get home and end up disappointed that this piece didn't end up being what you had wanted because you didn't take note of how it's going to need to be cared for before you purchased it. So how does it need to be cared for, and does that fit in your life? And number 6 is it affordable? Does it fit within your budget? And affordable, again, is different for everybody. Does this piece right now fit within your budget? And if not, if it's a stretch for you for some reason, why are you considering purchasing it? Is it that, like in my case, for instance, if there was a navy blue or black or navy blue and black Chanel blazer that for some reason came across my radar, and it was ridiculously low priced, but maybe still out of my budget for that particular time, like not, budgeted in for that month, I would figure out a way likely to be able to purchase that item so that I didn't miss the opportunity to own this Chanel jacket at this amazing price. So there are reasons to kind of move beyond your budget if that's a possibility for you, but pay attention to what is within your budget. And also, are you buying only because it's in your budget? Because that's another sticky area. Like, okay, I really love that full price version that's $175, but right now I don't have $175 and I don't want to figure out a way to afford that. That's out of my reach. So I'm gonna buy this version that's $39.95, but I don't really love it as much. So pay attention to that. It doesn't mean you stretch and buy the $175 version if that truly doesn't fit. That's no problem, but keep waiting until you get closer, until you find a piece that is more like the one that you really love, instead of settling for the $39 version that isn't actually all that special and doesn't really light you up, but because you've decided it's affordable for you, it's in your budget, you're going to buy it. So what is the affordability of the piece, and is it something you want to stretch for, or is it a situation where you should be waiting until you find a better version at any price? And number 7 is, does it support the life you live right now? And this is another one that comes up. I've talked about style math, where the pieces in your wardrobe should kind of add up to the life you live so that you don't have an abundance of big heavy sweaters if you live in South Florida. You want to have the correct number of pieces to go with the life that you live. So is this piece that you're considering buying something that will support the life that you live? Do you, live in an area where this is what you're happy wearing, as in the hot, cold, climate area situation? Do you go to a job every day where it's freezing cold, but this blouse you really love and you think you could wear to work, but you're actually going to be freezing and have to put a sweater on and you don't really have the sweater? Does this piece support the life that you live right now? Is this some really beautiful garment that if you had a life where you went to a lot of fancy occasions, this would fit the bill, but in fact, that's not really your life? Then you just need to look at, is it worth purchasing now? Because at some point I'm going to want to have it in my wardrobe. That event is still coming in my future. So this is a piece I want to own for then. These aren't questions to get you to not buy it. They're questions to get you to pay attention to if you actually really should be buying it or not. And then number 8, at the end of the day, do you love it? Do you love it? Does it light you up? You don't end up with a wardrobe that lights you up if you don't purchase pieces that light you up. And so I really, really strongly urge you to not settle for clothing that's just okay. It doesn't mean there aren't seasons in our life where we settle because we're in between sizes or we're in between, different life circumstances and we need some things to work for right now, but they're not the pieces that would light us up long term. We just need to be able to get dressed and look and feel pretty great for right this minute. So that's different than when you're really, truly trying to build a wardrobe for long term with more sustainability in mind, and you want to have the pieces in your wardrobe light you up. So the last question I would ask yourself when you're considering buying something is, do I love it? Do I love it? Because oftentimes we decide that something's good enough. This happens to me even when I thrift and something in my hand is $3.99. And I think I can afford it. It's $3.99. So for me right now, that fits in my budget easily. And yet, do I love it? Like, it's a great price and it might look nice on me and it might serve some purposes, in my life, and it might not need to be tailored. It might fit fine. And I might, I feel like I need it, but do I love it? Or am I better off waiting for another version that is going to light me up? Because that version is out there, that version exists. I have a lot of clients come to me and they feel really hopeless. Like, I've given up on shopping. I can't ever find any pants that work. I've given up on shopping. I can't possibly find a blouse that is a color I like or is, a shape that feels pretty on me. They're out there. I promise you they're out there. Part of that is mindset. If the tale you are telling yourself is that I cannot find pants that fit, guess what? You will never find pants that fit. And if the tale you are telling yourself is I can't find any blouses that are a beautiful color, you likely won't stumble upon many blouses that are a beautiful color. The mindset shift starts the ball in motion so that the pants and the blouses are easy to find. So if you don't love the item, hold back and wait until you find an item you do love, and believe that it's possible to find an item you do love. And that is one of the quickest ways to a wardrobe that actually lights you up, because if you only buy things that you love, guess what? When you open your closet, you only see things that you love. And that is the sweet spot that we're going for. We're going for a wardrobe that lights you up, and a wardrobe that lights you up is built of pieces that you love. So when you're getting ready to walk to the register with that blouse or that pair of jeans or that pair of shoes, do you love it? Do you love it? So by asking yourself those questions, anytime you're going to buy something new, it will help you really get discerning and pretty choosy about what gets to come home with you, because so often we get in this habit of just buying to fill a void, physically to fill a void or emotionally to fill a void, to relieve boredom, to relieve sadness. We just decide, well, we'll go shopping, we'll go buy a new something. And yet, if we don't pause and ask ourselves questions like this, we end up with a closet full of stuff that we're not wearing and that we don't really love. And how did it get there? It got there because we were really not paying attention. We were on autopilot when we took that thing into the fitting room and decided it was good enough and got it to the register and got it home. And now it's just cluttering up our life and cluttering up our closet and not making it easier and more fun to get dressed. So asking yourself these questions will make what ends up in your wardrobe more likely to actually support the life that you live. And now I want to just give a couple of tips to consider before you go buying something new, before you go out and hit the retail stores, hit the mall, go online, before you decide to buy something new. I just want to give you some options for ways to improve your wardrobe without actually having to buy something new. And the first one is shop your closet first. Get in there and look at what's in there. Likely you have things in there that you could be wearing that would be just fresh and new and different, and you either have forgotten about them or they've gotten covered up by all the other things that are in there, or you have never really looked at how could I wear this differently so that it would be a more important piece in my wardrobe. Shop your closet. And the next thing is wait 24 hours before you buy something new. If there's something that you really think you want, wait, just pause, because usually by the next morning you can't get it out of your mind and I have to have that sweater, or by the next morning you've totally forgotten about it. I can't tell you how many times people would put things on hold in Anthropologie and they're sure they had to have them and they were coming back the next morning and yet they didn't. The piece was irrelevant by the time they got to the next day. I've done it myself where I've put something on hold thinking, I'm just not sure. That is not always an indicator that you don't need it and shouldn't have it, but that pause allows you to really decide with that little bit of distance, actually, I do really love that and I'm going to go back and get it, or actually didn't even think about it again, so I'm not worried that I didn't go pick it up. And the next thing is shop secondhand. If you know me, you know that I, over the last few years, have become a pretty avid thrifter. Most of my wardrobe, I probably would say 80% of my wardrobe is thrifted, and I love it more than I've probably loved any wardrobe I've ever had. So thrifting is a really great way to spend less money, to make it a little easier to answer those questions. The questions are still important, but it takes a little bit of the pressure off when you're not spending full price on the pieces, and you're not requiring that a manufacturer make the piece, because it's already been made and it's already been used and now it's being reused. So there's something more sustainable about that. So consider shopping secondhand to bring new pieces into your wardrobe. You could also have a clothing swap. I used to love having clothing swaps. You just invite some friends, neighbors, colleagues, whatever, and everybody brings a few pieces and you literally swap them. There's usually no money exchanged. Everything is free. And you end up with a couple new treasures that you maybe didn't even know you needed. You're supporting that sense of sustainability. And it's just kind of fun to swap clothing and know that something that you maybe aren't loving as much as you wish you did can go to a new home and someone else can be loving it. And the next would be rent. If you have an occasion and you are considering buying something and some of these questions you just can't answer and feel good about buying the piece, consider renting. Rent the Runway and Nuuly, which is an Anthro brand, Nuuly, rent clothing, and you can rent it for an extended period of time. You can rent it for a weekend for a special event. There are handbag companies that rent handbags, beautiful designer handbags. Rent until you decide if you really want to buy it, or rent just because you want to rent and you want to have a little bit of freshness without actually making the commitment to purchase and own a piece forever. And the last thing that doesn't specifically have to do with bringing new pieces in, that would be more to support other people being able to utilize what you have, and that is donate or sell. So if you've got stuff that you're getting rid of, don't just kind of trash it, or donate it to Goodwill or Salvation Army or those kind of places, but allow it to go back into the system, because I cannot tell you how thankful I am that people have donated or sold clothing of theirs so that I could be the recipient of it. I could find these treasures that, were just waiting for me to bring them home and love them again. So in the sense of kind of keeping the ball rolling and allowing pieces that you're not loving but that are still in great condition that someone else could love, allowing other women to make the decision to bring those pieces home, sell or donate clothing that isn't working for you so that it can have a second life. So I hope that helps with regard to buying something new and really putting the brakes on for just a second and getting clear on, how do I actually feel about this piece? Like, what is it about this piece that makes me feel like it's time to walk to the register and pay money for it? And can I ask myself this series of questions to really get clear on, is this going to benefit me? Is this going to support the wardrobe that I want to build that is actually going to light me up every time I get dressed? Because by buying pieces that don't, you can't answer these questions and feel really good about it, you just end up with more stuff in your wardrobe that contributes to the 80% of clothing that you're not wearing, because you're wearing 20% of your clothing 80% of the time. That's all I got for today. I hope that this has been helpful. If you have comments on this or other questions that you like to ask yourself, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. And if you're not following me already on Instagram, please come over there and check things out. I am at Kristen Cain Style over there also. And let's see, I'll be back next Friday. If style therapy is on your radar, if you are ready to get your stuff sorted so that you can actually love getting dressed and you want some help, you've tried it on your own and it's just not working, please reach out. I just absolutely love helping a woman transform the way she looks and feels in her clothing. It is the most rewarding work I've ever done in my life, and I would love to have you be next on the list for style therapy with me. So there's a link down below. You can check it out. And if you have questions, we can hop on a consult call. I hope you have a really amazing week, and I will see you next Friday. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.